What's up, man? Can you hear me?
What's going on, guys? Yeah.
What's happening?
Yeah.
I was kind of going over a little bit of what the Stanley County situation is and where we're at right now. So it's $500, $500 a month that's been compounding for how many months now? 9 months. So we're up to $4,500.
Uh, no, it maxes out at 25, and then we're
Does it
doing
max out?
the $2,500 or the $2,000 big bass you for your end of the year, um, or the event that you do on um, Baden. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so all right.
I can
Yeah, we got the
I,
TOC
I can
down there.
reforge it. Shit. Am I freezing?
It's a little slow, a little delayed, I think.
It'll be good, and then it'll just like freeze. So it's probably my signal.
Yeah.
But I was fine here. Am I good now?
Seems like it's all right.
Yeah, so we're at 500 for the big bass because it goes 500 up a month until it hits 2,500. Then it caps out at 2,500. If somebody
Okay.
wins the 2,500, remember we had $2,000 that we held back to do a big bass event. If you wanted the option of doing the big bass event as a CKA, weekend trail event, but not a KBF trail, but a CKA trail event, with that being the carrot on the stick to get more people there. The pivot that we had was if you don't feel like that's smart and it'll get people there, we can just roll that money over to next year and I don't have to go back. And I built that into the deal with them is like, look, this is a first year. We're recovering from COVID. People are going to take fucking 3 months to figure it out because that's how anglers are. So let me get this straight. And then once we get the number up there, then we'll be able to roll that. And then if nobody wins the challenge series on Baden, then we do $1,000 big bass. Like last month, biggest fish caught on Baden, no matter if you win the trail series or not. So that's September. That's the month coming up because the last month is no, I'm sorry.
It's
Yeah,
October.
the last month of September, then it starts over again in October. So basically, we've got the ability, me and you, to decide which way we go with it. Do we take that money, roll it over to next year, make a ambassador series event? Like you texted me the other day, there's no way I'm going to throw a full trail there when we've gotten the shit turnout that we've gotten so far. And
Right.
I've got to spread the money out over 2 years so that they don't shit on KBF's name and figure out ways to get people there. So I think we'll probably have better results if we have an event where, yes, there's this big payout and you go to Baden
Mhm.
or you go to Stanley County, but everybody's fishing in Stanley County. I think the big rub has been people are scared to go try to fish Stanley County to fish against Sharon Harris and Falls and some of these other, fortunately for North Carolina, you got some good damn big bass fisheries that it's really hard to
Yeah,
stack up against. But that was the
it is.
idea. That was the
Right.
idea is to see if that was enough of a carrot on the stick. It's obviously not.
It's
So
tough because
yeah,
these guys have been putting up like 23-inch bass by the first week of the month. So, so to convince somebody to drive, an hour and a
yeah,
half, 2 hours to
2 hours,
Baden,
spend the night in a hotel to try to catch a 23 on Baden or Tillery or shit anywhere in Stanley County is I get it.
it's tough.
It's a tough deal. So what I think we'll do next year is we'll regroup and we'll have a Stanley County only bounty because next
Okay.
year we've got the ability to do some more clever stuff with the challenge series. The identifier is pretty much going to be useless next year if we can get a QR code to the angler where they take the camera and hold it over the QR code and it opens up the camera, and when you take a photo, then it encrypts your location into the photo, so you don't really need an identifier. Now we're still going to do the identifier for the first year or two because anglers are resistant to change, but
What?
we will be able to actually put in we'll actually be able to put in parameter lakes to where we don't even have to guess anymore. Like it'll show you on that lake and it'll automatically credit those fish to that particular lake. So one of the things that I think we could do is a major league fishing style event where there's a bonus for most fish caught in Stanley County, and then there's a bonus for biggest fish caught in Stanley County, and just be done with it. So you're not competing against the whole state for the state challenge series. You're just having an opportunity to go fish that lake against other people on that lake, which I think will, it'll encourage people. Then you still got the on that.
No. Froze up on us for a minute there.
We've got about $4,500 to play with for a cushion to carry us over to next year versus, kind of what we've already committed to for this year. There's already $1,000 will be paid out to the biggest fish caught there the whole year, no matter what. And then you've got to decide what you want to do with that 2,000. Do you want to roll it to next year? Do you want to try to have a weekend shootout type event under CKA's name, or what you want to do? But that's about what we're at right now with what we've got left from what they paid us to what we've spent to being able to actually redo it next year and still have the money in the coffers to not have to come out of pocket. I'm going to come out of pocket some, but not come out of pocket too much to run it for a second year and tell them, look, we didn't get the numbers we thought. We're going to do something again, and we're going to get you people there. And me and you will just have to talk about that in the off season. You know what I mean?
Okay. Sounds good.
Cool. So that might be a location for the team thing. You know what I mean? That might be a perfect location to do one of the team events.
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Cool.
So $2,500 for September if someone does it.
If you win the state challenge. If you don't, and here's the thing that people have to remember. We started this year and we said it might take a while to catch on, so we didn't start it at a really big number. Next year, if we roll it over, we're just going to start at that number. You know what I'm saying? So somebody could go to Stanley County in January and win the challenge series and win $2,500. Or me and you could say, man, fuck that. Let's divide it up and say it's the biggest fish caught from Stanley County for the next 5 months gets $500 no matter what, or $1,000 for 3 months. Like me and you just have to decide, like, how do we manage that? And then what do you think the anglers are going to respond the best to? You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, yeah.
Sounds good.
That's about where we're at.
All right.
Yeah, so right now, there's still $2,500 on the table. If you can win the state challenge from Stanley County, you win the money for the state challenge and the $2,500 on top of that. Yeah. And then there's still the big bass for the year for Stanley County that's up for grabs for $1,000. Right? $2,000. Yeah, right now.
And there's $1,000 for the best 5, right?
Yes. So literally, you could go down there in this last month, and there's still $4,500 up for grabs. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is. I could use it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Shit, I could use it at this point.
I hear you. Let's see if anyone's got any other questions here. You don't have to win the challenge. You have to have the biggest bass of the challenge. It's the biggest bass for the state challenge.
Yes, you have to have the biggest bass for the state challenge, and that fish has to come from Stanley County. But you could go catch that one big fish there, and you could go fish somewhere else for the rest of the month if you wanted to.
Yeah, just don't catch a bigger one.
Right. Knock yourself out. Which would be my luck if I did that.
Yeah, right. Just don't upload it.
Yeah, but what people keep forgetting is that the big 5 for the whole year is still money, and the biggest fish for the year is still money. So that was the part that it was just hard to get people to understand. It's like, man, you go there and hang a big fish. You got the shot at winning the state money, the state challenge series money that keeps doubling. Plus you win the big bass for Stanley County that's not competing against everybody else, and the big 5 for Stanley County that's not competing against everybody else. That's just for that county. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So,
yep. And currently there's only a 21.25 by Justin Pearcloth for the biggest bass.
Exactly.
So it's
not like it's beatable. Exactly.
Yeah.
In fact, I had one on the day that I was on the lake down. I won't name the lake because I don't want to throw anybody's deal. But the day we fished with Justin, I had one on that was easily right there at the 20, 21-inch mark, and he had another one on that was pretty close to that day. And you know, and you slide into the fall, man, on those mountain reservoirs, those those high canyon type fisheries, and they start to move up on those bluff walls in the fall, and they start to get a little pelagic and school up. Woo! You know what I'm saying?
I hear you.
Yeah, they're not up there.
Best five's beatable too at 92 inches.
They're not up there right against the waterfall with their nose into the water because they're everywhere. You know, once it starts to cool off a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yes, sir. And then the biggest thing too that people don't think about is that the temperature is one thing, but the photo period is the really big one. Once the days start to get just a tiny bit shorter, that's when those fish say, "Giddy up," and they start to strap the feed bag on. You know. So
yeah, we're waiting for it. It's close. We've had some cooler weather already, so now we just need that part of the thing to change, and then we should be good. Should fire off.
Yeah, that river section between the two lakes, which I'm not going to like put too much out there, but that river section, whoo, you know,
it's a good looking little area right there.
Oh, it's so good looking. You know what I mean? And you know, when I came down there and met up with you guys, I went and ran it, and just got spoiled, you know, trying to catch those fish up in shallow water, so didn't focus too much time on it. But that second day, when you didn't fish, when you went back before you came back the third day, like I went and motored all through that stuff, and man, God, it's so juicy looking through there, you know?
Oh yeah.
I caught like catch 22 numbers fish. I didn't really catch any big ones, but I also wasn't targeting big fish. I was throwing 4-inch Cincos and little pond magic spinnerbaits trying to get my numbers, you know what I mean? So but it worked. It's a gorgeous area too, man. That's literally one of the most beautiful lakes in the state. You know,
I agree. Yeah, for sure.
It's a lot like Joe Cassie in South Carolina. It's like just a really beautiful, like lesser known. You know, it's not one of the known bass factories, but it's got big fish. It just there's so many other. I call it the Cinderella sister effect, right? There's Cinderella sister like Sharon Harris and Randleman and some of these other lakes that people know, but then they don't know about this lake. So because it doesn't get the reputation, doesn't get as many people fishing it, and that was the whole purpose of this challenge, was to try to put it on the map, because there's some big fish there.
There is.
I just think that the river, and we were late. We had already gotten up into the summer by the time I made it there, but I think that river in the spring and in the fall would probably be the jam.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially if you had any tiny little bit of current going through there.
Yeah. We had like kind of a low water situation when we were there.
Yeah, it was literally locked down, and all the rocks, you could see where people had been putting beer cans out fishing on the bank, and it was like 8 feet up in the air. You know what I mean? So, and that was, and I talked to those guys that were wade fishing out there, and they said that they were there like the weekend before, and it was like waist deep where they were standing on rocks. So it was down. It was down for sure.
Nice.
Yeah, man. Cool. Well, what other questions do we got?
Let's see. All right. Best five. The best five is 1,000. Big bass, 2,500 for the monthly. Yep. And biggest bass for the season, 2K. Yes. Correct.
And if you go to kayak bass fishing and search Stanley County with no E, Stanly, just search it. There's a whole page that explains this. And on the Stanley County Big Bass, on the Fishing Chaos, there's also a link to that page. So it's pretty well spelled out. It's just, you know, we've made anglers lazy by spoon feeding them so much information over the years that they just ask instead of looking. But it's literally right on kayak bass fishing. If you search Stanley County, the page is kayakbassfishing.com/Stanley County, and you can find the bounty page on there with all the details.
Okay, cool. And Justin wanted to know there's some entries that have been uploaded that were not in a monthly, and they were accepted. So there's a little bit of cleanup I think needs to be done before we call a winner or something. There's a few people have uploaded fish.
I'm sorry, you
They
broke.
weren't in the monthly
Did
challenge.
you say they were? Okay. So they can upload fish for the big five for the year, but they can't compete for big bass or the monthly payout for the. So for the big five all year long, you don't have to be in the state challenge. So I cleared that up. I thought I cleared that up with Justin. And if you go to that page that I'm telling you about, it says that on there pretty clearly. So for the year long, you can win the year long best five without having been in the state challenge. To win the money in the state challenge, you have to be, or to win the money for the monthly 500 that doubles, you have to be in the state challenge. And to win the big bass overall, you have to be in the state challenge. But for the overall big five, you don't have to be in the state challenge. The idea behind that was to get more people into the event competing in Stanley County that may have been leery of jumping into the state challenge, trying to compete with the rest of the state. So that's, there's the clarification on that. And that's actually outlined on that page as well. So again, big bass and the monthly payout and the compounded payout, you have to be in the state challenges. The overall big five for the year, you don't have to be in the state challenges. Make sense?
Got it. Yes, it does. Perfect.
Hey, and question for you guys real quick. Is it okay if I ask a quick question?
Oh, absolutely.
Normally when I put stuff on and I flip the camera around backwards, everything's backwards. So in my last video, I put the flag backwards because I wanted it to be right. So now I flipped it the other way. And so I'm wondering if the flag is right the way y'all see it. Does that make sense? Because the stars and bars are supposed to be on the right-hand side, or the field is supposed to be on the right-hand side as you're looking at it. Does that make sense? Is that what it looks like now?
It would be on the left side of the screen right now.
The way you're looking at it?
Yeah.
God dang it. Oh, it's on the left side. Okay, so it's right. So it is on the left side.
It's on your right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Okay, all right.
I was overthinking it, and on two of my podcasts, I had it backwards because I was trying to put it backwards to make it look right because it usually flips it. So apparently these cameras now fix it for you, and you don't have to outthink yourself. So
well, that's good. The other thing was the Ambassador Series Championship. I don't know if everyone knows about it. I've been trying to get the word out on that.
So we extended the deadline to November 1st for putting your teams together. Entries can be all the way up to so like if you're an Ambassador Series and you call me and said, hey, I have a team, it's me and so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. All you have to do is let me know that that's who the team is so we can prepare for it, and you can register up to the Thursday before the event and pay up to the Thursday before the event. But the actual deadline to let me know who the teams are is November 1st. So it's basically just, and people keep asking me this, and I say, ask your Ambassador Series coordinator. You guys have to okay them to fish in the series, not me. You know what I mean? This is really making the ambassador clubs the gatekeepers. And then the goal behind this is to grow this as big as the national championship, or pretty close. But then everybody that's fishing the national championship is going to want to be in the Ambassador Series championship, because it'd be stupid to fish one and not be in the other one with the two payouts together. And then that forces people to go back to the Ambassador Series to qualify. And so that was my way of giving back to the ambassador clubs, instead of trying to continue to muddy the waters with, like when I visited with you guys, like, honestly, y'all were the impetus for it. I'm sitting there and we're talking through this and talking through that. And you're like, well, that guy's a KBF guy, but that guy's not a KBF guy. And I'm like, man, that is not what the purpose of this whole national championship concept was for. It wasn't designed to like weaponize being part of a KBF or not. Right. So I want the national championship to be something that anybody can experience if they want to. We're beyond now having to be the gatekeepers on whether or not you know how to do catch, photo, release. At this point, if you can't find a tournament to jump into to learn how to adequately do catch, photo, release, you probably shouldn't be doing catch, photo, release, because you can throw a rock up in the air anywhere in the country right now and land on a kayak fishing tournament, right? So back in the day when we came up with this concept of being qualified, it was so that you didn't show up to the tournament, not have a measuring board, not know how to measure the fish, not know how to, because, you guys know as well as I do, the first time you catch, photo, and release a fish in a kayak, it's like trying to juggle, pat your stomach, rub your head, and ride a unicycle all at one time. it takes a while to kind of get your system down and your groove and all that. And so that was the idea behind the qualification process. The bar was never like, oh my God, Uber high, and nor was the idea for it to be high. I've said from the beginning, the national championship is the blue collar, every person, everybody opportunity to knock it out of the park and be a household name in kayak fishing.
Absolutely.
And the Ambassador Series, honestly, I really think that the Ambassador, and I wish I would have thought about this even sooner, but the Ambassador Series being a team event builds what the Ambassador Series is about. It's about, camaraderie and teamwork and all that kind of stuff. So I really wish I would have thought of that sooner and made that change earlier, but at least now it's out there. We got a couple months to build it up. I mean, I know a lot of people are out of vacation time and they've spent their money on travel and all that, but $20,000 is a lot of damn money, especially for a $230 team entry fee. Think about that. That's $57 and I think in 50 cents a piece for a shot at 20 grand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
One guy's already called me, listen, I am not getting into the management of this crap. So one guy called me and said, hey, if I pay everybody's travel expenses and I pay their entry fee and they agree that if we win, I get the money, is that okay? I'm like, man, y'all can do whatever the hell you want to do, right? I think that's a slippery slope.
Uh-huh.
But if somebody wants to foot the bill for a whole team to go and that team wins and then they get the lion's share of the money, I guess that's fair if you really think about it. But I also think that you're taking a big risk to bankroll a team to have a chance to go win the thing and then you don't win. You know what I mean? But that's totally up to, again, I'm leaving the team stuff up to the teams. And then the cool part about it is it's really double dipping because we've got the solo part at $115 entry fee that anybody can enter. But I want to make this clear. If you enter as a team, you don't have to pay the separate entry fee. So you're eligible for both, but the people that pay the individual entry fee are only eligible for the individual payout.
Right. Yeah, that's what I was confused on, and I got that clarified when I looked
We're
up.
We're guaranteeing $5,000 for the individual, $20,000. So realistically, if a team goes down there and wins it, there's a pretty good chance the individual winner's also going to be on that team, but not necessarily, but there's a good chance. So then now you're basically splitting 25,000 4 ways. It's pretty good payday.
Yeah, that works. That works for sure. And you got all 4 lakes are open.
Yes. Okay. I might have a twist at the end, but yes.
And it's a 1-day deal.
Yes.
That changed from 2-day to 1 day.
Yes. And I got that feedback. So I decided I was going to call 50 people and I was going to ask 1 day or 2 day. Okay. Hey, you fished the Ambassador Series Championship. You showed interest. You're a heavily involved ambassador. Are you going to be there? Yes. Okay. 1 day or 2 day? 1 day. Why? It's a vacation day weekend. I wouldn't have to take an extra day off work if it was 1 day. I would if it's 2 day. Or even if I took a day off of work, I wouldn't have to take 2 days off. If it's a 1 day, I can get back home on Sunday, blah, blah, blah. So when I got to about 31 or 32, it was like 30-2. So it didn't even make sense for me to call the other 20 people because it was already over 50%. And like, it probably was going to go 48-2. It was going to be like a vote on something in the Senate right now, right? It was going to be just like one-sided. And so we just decided to make it a 1 day, build on it. And if folks love it and we can turn it into a 2 day with more heads up in the future, then we build on it. We make it a 2 day in the future. And, ultimately I'd like to make it like a 3 day down the road where it's like 2 days, you cut to the top 5 teams. Everybody else goes and fishes a fish off on 3 lakes and 1 lake is left over for the, so put all the chips in a Crown Royal sack the day the tournament starts, draw a lake out. That lake is now off limits for the first 2 days. And then that's the lake that you fish on the final day. And then on the final day, only the people in the top 5 go to that lake, and everybody else gets to finish fishing the other 3 lakes for, big bass or something like that. That way you don't want to invest all that time, effort, energy, money, and you make it to the event and you don't make the cut, but now you already booked your room, you already took the time off work. Like, I'd love to be able to, and we're doing that for the national championship next year. So here's the other cool thing about this place is you're actually coming to pre-fish next year's national championship format, because it's pretty much the same thing. Now, what we are going to do for next year's national championship is what I just talked about. 30 days before the national championship, I'm going to do a live. I'm going to have all the names in a cup. I'm going to shake them up. I'm going to have somebody draw them, or I'm going to draw it, or whatever. And we're going to draw one of the lakes. That lake will be the 100 lake, and it'll be off limits for 30 days prior to the national championship. And then everybody will fish the other lakes. And when the 100 cut happens, everybody in the 100 fishes that lake, and everybody else keeps fishing the other lake for big bass and the side pot payout.
Okay. Yeah.
So didn't get that in place in time this year to play that with the Ambassador Series Championship. Plus, I really kind of want to see what people do. There is a absolute buttload of water in play. Like,
it's a lot of water.
It's a lot of water, man.
Yeah.
And we're gonna have the other thing about doing a 1-day deal is it's gonna be mandatory check-in at the end. So that way everybody can come over. We can have like a bit of a party atmosphere, have a meal, do all that stuff. And then you still got the whole next day to get back home. Whereas if we tried to do the last day, as well as I do, 75% of the people are going to just take off. And so I really wanted to go to the 1-day thing to kind of build that feel and build that camaraderie, and to have a really good breaking of bread. And then I've also got a couple of awards I want to give out there. I think I'm going to hold off on the Sportsman of the Year award. Instead of awarding it at the national championship, I'm going to make that part of the Ambassador Series Championship, because that's really what the Sportsman of the Year is. They're an ambassador for the sport. So it makes sense to align that with the Ambassador Series Championship. And then, man, in the future, the Ambassador Series Championship and the National Championship will be partnered together. And then the people who want to be super elite and all that crap, chasing the 10 and Angler of the Year, can fish the Trail Series Championship and the Challenge Series Championship together somewhere else completely. So that way, if you're in the running for the 10 and you fished hard all year, you don't end up in a situation where you're fishing on a lake with 300, 400, or 500 people on it trying to compete against you for an event that they're not even in, if that makes sense. So
yeah, for sure.
It's a little bit too late to make it happen this year that way. This year was a bit of a weird year anyway. We did too damn many tournaments. We had, some events where there was a low turnout, some events where there's a high turnout. And so the format that we built, and this is the reason for it, is to take in all of that into account. It's still settled in the Trail Series Championship. So all the smack talking like, oh man, those California guys had an easier schedule. Okay, pick a name off of there for me and tell me which one of those guys is easy. Which one of those guys is a day off when you comes to fishing against them. And then you got an argument. Because pretty much everybody that's won any West Coast event this year has come to the East Coast or come to a major event, and they've done well. Absolutely. Anthony Garcia, Cayman Rasmussen, Cody Henley, like all of those guys, Shane Lamont, they've all come over here and made the trek and done well outside of the West Coast. So it could have been 100 people in the event, and they still would have had probably the same outcome. So anyway, but that's why the points are 1.5 points at the championship. But man, next year we got an announcement we're going to make probably about 2 weeks about some changes for the format for next year. Big guarantees coming back for the national championship, the Challenge Series Championship, the Trail Series Championship, and the Ambassador Series Championship are going up as well. So I just want to get back to the fun stuff, man, instead of all this stressful bull crap that, just really ain't worth it. It just ain't, and
next year CKA is we're going to simplify it next year just because of the similar deal. Or it's just getting too complicated, too many things. So we're going back to basics for the 10-year anniversary for 2023. So I feel you there.
Heck yeah, man. So it's yeah, it's awesome, dude. I think that I think we're all as a sport moving in the right direction. Um, I think we had a sophomore curse for a few years of where we were at as a community, as a sport. We were in that awkward teenager phase where everybody's rebelling against their parents and all that. That's where kayak fishing was for the last 3 to 5 years. And I think now we're kind of turning the corner into a maturing teenager that's thinking about being an adult and all those things. You know what I mean? So, yeah, we're not throwing temper tantrums anymore. There's certain little pockets that have developed at work. There's certain, core groups that are, their MO is to be negative. And I think a lot of people have just figured that out. And it's just settled into where if you like this, do that. If you like that, do that. And there's something for everybody. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I think that's pretty much where we're at now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Any more questions, man?
Let's see. I'll go through it real quick, see if we get any more. Gotta get by the Denny Ramiro digs. Let's see.
The Denny Romero what?
He's throwing.
That's why you broke up a little bit.
I said Denny Ramiro's being a wise guy, throwing some digs out.
Gotcha.
He wouldn't be Denny if he wasn't.
No doubt. I was going to say, what's new? That's funny.
No, I think that's it. I don't see any other questions in here.
I just happen to have this on my desk right now.
All right.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah, nice. So with that,
Cool.
yeah, Denny actually just donated another big box for our Gate City Classic event to give out. So, yeah, he's always stepping up for CKA. He does more than I ever ask him to do, which is awesome.
Love
Really
it.
awesome.
Yep. Cool.
Good deal. Yeah, I think we're good.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you having me. I got to run out here and get some stuff put away before it rains. But other than that, man, thank y'all. For the folks that are listening, tune in tomorrow night for my live stream because we're going to put some rumors to bed. We're going to make some announcements. And we're also going to, it's a big announcement night tomorrow night. Y'all should definitely tune in. There's some rumors swirling that we have to address. So it's going to be one of those nights that gives the people who are reasonable a sense of like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And the people who always want to stir the pot, it's going to give them something to talk about. Because, what I have learned is that people who don't do anything or don't have anything interesting to talk about have to talk about what other people do because they don't. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the next time you see somebody yammering about what somebody else is doing, just remember the reason they're doing that is because they don't have anything that they've done that supersedes the importance of what they're talking about somebody else did that they're criticizing. So that's all they have to talk about. It took me a long time to realize that.
Yeah.
And I had an old, wise person give me that advice. And I was literally like, man, I feel like a dumbass for not having figured that out on my own a long time ago. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Cool, man. Well, listen, I appreciate y'all having me, man. I'm going to get out here and try to get this stuff done before dark. And I'll see y'all tomorrow night. It's going to be juicy.
Cool.
I did.
Later.
Dude.
All right, guys, I'm out of here. I'll put these updates out there for you guys, and we'll be good to go.